The coat of arms of Finland contains a lion, which is quite misleading, because lions are only found in a highly specific part of Finland. And our nature does contain a plethora of more common carnivores that could have been used to symbolize Finland. There are more natural carnivores in Finland that you might think at first, like different weasels, badgers, and the bane of fishermen, seals. But the carnivores that get most of the spotlight are the large carnivores, and in Finland those are wolf, bear, lynx, and wolverine. For a long time, there has been a discussion about limiting the numbers of the aforementioned animals, and some people would be more than willing to exterminate them all. But why? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is how dangerous these animals can be. But statistically speaking, they are not lethal. Bears and wolves have not killed a single person in years, but for domestic animals it is a completely different story. For example, wolves have killed a lot of dogs, and for some that is more than a good reason to go full John Wick on those furry bastards. There is also another animal that is often brought up in the carnivore discussion: reindeer. In the northern parts of Finland and other areas of the Arctic, people herd reindeers. Reindeers are semi-domesticated. They interact with humans from time to time, get food from them and so on, but they are free to roam as they please. Unfortunately, they often choose to roam in the middle of the public road. This walking roadblock is an easy snack for a large enough carnivore, so it is only natural that reindeer herders are upset that beasts are eating up their paychecks. But this relationship is not that simple. You can get compensation from reindeers that are prematurely killed. These compensations are claimed to be quite hefty, when you compare them to the amount you can get by selling the reindeer meat. The cynical side in me likes to think that this is the easiest way to cash out from a reindeer, as you don't have to go through the trouble of turning a living reindeer into a reindeer merchandise. It is enough to collect the proof that your reindeer has been chosen to be the dinner of the local wildlife, fill a form, and then wait for the paycheck to arrive. So instead of being the greatest enemy, large carnivores are actually reindeer herders' best employees. When it comes to the compensation, the money you can get from a reindeer is up to 1.5 times its accepted value. This value is determined by the type of the lost reindeer. Young reindeer meant for slaughter are only worth a couple hundred of euros, but more special reindeers are much more costly. This kind of pricing creates an opportunity to abuse the system. Some reindeer herders are collecting hundreds of thousands of euros in compensation in a year. In 2022, Finnish taxpayers paid 10 million euros because of the large carnivore's reindeer diet. Even though they are financially compensated, it would be unfair to say that the people in the reindeer industry are happy with this situation. Carnivores like wolverines and wolves eat the breeding reindeers, which will lead to a reduction in the number of reindeers, thus also limiting the amount of reindeer products you can actually sell. And because it is fair to assume that most of the reindeer herders are not in this occupation because it is so lucrative, but instead want to maintain this traditional way of life, they might be bummed out that their occupation has been made difficult to practice. Understandably, this case is quite tricky. In this current situation, some people have taken justice into their own hands and are waging some kind of crusade against large carnivores in the form of poaching. So it is quite certain that if these beast compensations were to be removed, the large carnivores would suffer a lot. At the same time, it doesn't make any sense that millions of taxpayers' money is spent to feed the wildlife. Some people, whose brains are more liberally wired, would ask in this situation, why do we need to spend our tax money to upkeep this occupation that evidently cannot sustain itself? You can't get rid of all the carnivores because we want to conserve the diversity of our nature. At the same time, you can't really increase the number of reindeers because it is not sustainable and eventually natural sources of food for the reindeers will collapse. You still have the option to hold up the price of reindeer, but there will be a point where people will say nope and stop buying it. Some solutions, other than removing beasts from existence, have been suggested to protect animals that are not meant to be randomly eaten. Animals in nature are constantly doing calculations of risks and rewards. If they spot food that is guarded by a couple of protective doggerinos, they will likely find food from somewhere else. For reindeers, implementing protector doggos is not possible, but they could be replaced by law enforcement. Most people are fine with wolves, bears, lynxes and wolverines roaming the Finnish forests, and I am one of those people. But I just wish that if they are going to keep eating food paid by the Finnish taxpayers, please, pick something cheaper. Regarding about this discussion, you can usually hear a comment that city folk will change their minds towards wild beasts when they will appear in the city center. And there might be a grain of truth in this, but these people often forget that city folk live under the fear of the most ferocious and arrogant beast there is. The fucking seagulls.